Hello, my family. So, yes, it's cool outside. It's not super cold, but cool. We've got wind gusts today up to 50 miles per hour, anywhere from 20 to 50 miles per hour. So, I'm also having to I just got through doing the farm work. I actually have a nice hot cup of tea, lemon tea. I've got some of the whiskey infused honey, which is super good. I really like this honey that was sent to me. Y'all, over Christmas, you have sent some of the most precious things I have ever seen, from taking care of myself on a personal basis with eye coverings for good sleep and warm socks, to things that are very useful in my kitchen, from beautiful letters and cards. Y'all, I can't thank you enough. You're amazing. And when I use these products in my kitchen, or when I keep my socks on my feet to keep me warm, I think of you always, and you're always with me. So I thank you for that. So while I sip this honey, I do have to go outside in the garden, and we've had some rainy days before this, but we've got a good rainstorm coming. And with that, I want to bring up something that maybe a lot of homesteaders could probably use. I had an opportunity come my way, and y'all, I'm sorry, I had to take this one. This is something I have struggled with for a couple years working on this homestead, and when this opportunity came my way, I could not pass this up. So I'm going to share it with you because I think it's something, especially us ladies, we could absolutely use. Now, my husband, God love him, here in Mississippi, we get what I consider a monsoon. When it rains here, it rains here. The way our property runs, we get water puddles, my coops, everything is so muddy. It's hard for me to even enjoy being on the homestead in times like that. And we do tend to get some periods where it's just, I swear, some nights it was like raining 40 days and 40 nights. My husband went and got me something to help me with my feet, because my feet stayed wet and cold all the time. I just could not stay dry. So for the last couple years, I have to admit now, he got me some good rain boots. There's a problem with these. They don't leak. They have great grip. Problem is they are exceptionally heavy. I felt like I was walking with weights on my feet, and it wasn't even enjoyable. I dreaded. I kept telling my husband, I still do to this day, I'm not a duck. I don't do rain very well, and especially with heavy boots. So an opportunity came by where I could get lightweight boots, and I'm going to share this with you, and I think you could benefit from it. I got to choose what kind I wanted, and I found the perfect one for me. And you don't laugh when you see these, y'all. Seriously, don't laugh. But I have a feeling I can help a lot of women. They have different styles, different sizes, different sections. They have garden shoes, like tennis shoes, that look like my boots. They have midline calves, just like my boots are. They have varieties for both men and for women. And the company's name is Hisea, Hisea. This product actually came with a 100 years lifetime warranty card as well, that I could register online. These boots will probably outlast my life, actually, at this point. So we're gonna see. I mean, I've never used them before, and I've got a fantastic opportunity right now with the storm that we got coming in. You know, I'm gonna put these to the test. Let me show this to you. Like I said, y'all, I wouldn't have done it, but this benefits me as well. Not just for you, but for me. I've needed this help for a very long time, and God knows what he's doing. And unfortunately, y'all, I'm sorry about that, but that was a fly that just went across that camera. Yeah, so yeah, okay, that was messed up, and I apologize for that. Okay, so please don't laugh, y'all. I kind of like some things that represent who I am. So I went and picked these out. Now these are the mid-calf boots, rain boots. Can you see that? Yes. those are chickens you are seeing, and I think they are absolutely adorable, and I think they will help me on the farm. They're really, the plastic on this is good and sturdy, and I have tried these on. They are exceptionally comfortable. For a plastic boot, I was kind of skeptical on how that would be, but they are very, very comfortable. And I could see myself enjoying these boots on my farm versus the ones that my husband got me. They're actually, those are muck boots, and these are lightweight on top of it. I kind of really didn't feel like I had a boot on. And on top of that, they got a grip. I don't know if you can see that grip. You see those grips? They got a grip that'll hold any ground in any situation. So sliding is not going to be an issue for me either. And that was one of the reasons that I was wearing the muck boots with my husband, because when it gets muddy here, it gets muddy, slick, and everything else. So those things had a good grip. But like I said, when you add the mud to these boots, it made it even heavier, and it was a struggle wearing them. So I am about to try these on out in the rain, as the next 2 days it's fixing a downpour. But I'm going to tell you from right now what I've already seen. I cannot actually wait to try these, and I am not sorry I got them either. These are actually reasonably priced. I checked the line online out, and I'm going to highly advise these boots, y'all. Good quality made, it looks to me, and with a warranty like that, I'm going to take it. So hopefully these are going to help you. I'm going to put the link below, and plus I'm going to be able to give you an opportunity with a code where you can get 15% off of the price for these as well. So, and it's basically any style. So go ahead and check out their site. You can find that in the description box below, along with the code to get a discount off of me. And I'm hoping you enjoy this too, because I could see a lot of farmers and homesteaders absolutely getting used to having something decent and very comfortable on your feet. And even for the most part, anybody, a gardener even, or somebody in your everyday life, I can see these work for many people. So I just thought I'd share that with you. But we are getting ready to go out in the garden, and I'm going to take you with me, because you're not going to believe how fast these greens have grown. And it's been cold, y'all. It's been in the 20s. I've even got to show you what my parsley is looking like. So we've got to go do some gathering, because we are going to be joining in the kitchen. And what we're making today is I am doing a baked type of Mediterranean potatoes. Now I'm only doing a portion control for one person. My husband is getting the greens instead. I am going to be making us a salad, and then we are going to be doing a Mediterranean styled pork chops baked. So I'm going to go to the field, well, the farm area, and I'm going to show you some new improvements I'm getting ready to do, and some of my ideas that in the next couple weeks there's fixing to be some major changes on the homestead. So I'm going to take you with me while we're doing that, and I'm going to show you what changes we're fixing to do. Alright, y'all, you see all these greens? These were the real tiny ones I couldn't actually pick from before. We are actually going to start picking from these. So I'm going to come around this other end, and we're actually going to work from here. Going ahead and picking this, and I'm going to bring you actually closer in here so that you can see this a little better, actually. Look at how beautiful green these are. And they're getting so much bigger. I'm able to actually pick from them. So that's what we're going to be doing today right now. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start picking. And yes, I'm in my chicken boots. Man, y'all, these are so comfortable though. I could keep my pants legs inside when it pours down raining. And even if I get some puddles in this yard, my feet are going to be protective, and yet I'm going to be able to walk without them super heavy. So forgive my chicken feet, but it is what it is, and I am a happy girl. So right now I'm just going through here picking, and I'm going to have a good mess of these greens for him tonight. He's actually going to be a happy man for this. He loves his greens, especially when they're fresh cut from our own garden. I've done canned some of these, and some of the stuff that we're already out of. What do you call that? The black-eyed peas that we had canned over the summer with ham, those are gone. Every jar of that is gone. A couple other beans are gone. Which reminds me, tomorrow, y'all, I am going to be doing a canning video on canning butter beans. So we're going to be doing that as well. I need to get those done, and I've got about I've got 3 pounds that we're going to can, but I got to soak those overnight. So if you are going to can with me, it is a pressure canning. The recipe is going to come from the National Preservation Site for canning, and we're going to soak them overnight in a big pot. So that's one of the processes that has to be done. They have to be soaked at least 12 hours or longer. I didn't do it last night, or we would have been canning them today. So I thought I'd warn you ahead of time. We're going to be canning butter beans, which also AKA is known as mature lima beans, large lima beans. And cooking them the Mediterranean way, I found I actually loved it. So you guys are getting to actually be out here on the farm with me again today. I don't get to do this too often, but summer's coming as well too, so we'll be doing a lot of this together. We're also going to be out here when I start building on some new ideas for raised beds that I'm going to be coming up with in the very near future. I'm going to be working with about 2-foot galvanized beds this time. We have some ideas we want to try, and I'm all for it. This was actually my idea. Hubby's going along with it. But he finds that it's probably a good idea too. So we are going to try this. And I'm going to show you here in a bit where we're expanding once I get these done. So I'm going to go ahead and start finishing picking off these greens for supper. Move you to the other section where our greens are, because this isn't all. I got to get the larger out of these and let the babies grow, and then I'm going to go over to the more mature side in the 20-foot bed. Before we go to the 20-footer, I want to see if I can show you all these. This right here is the starting of my saffron flowers. Those are the leaves from them, and before long I'm waiting to see if we get any flowers from them. You have to catch these flowers at just the right moment, or you will miss your saffron stems too. But they're coming up. I didn't think I had any, but I have still quite a bit. And then I planted them along the edge on this bed too. And if I planted anything in here, I always kept it on that back wall back here, so that these could actually pop up if they were going to survive. And I was really happy to see that some did survive, which tells me this gives me a chance for these to actually, I'm hoping and praying that they literally take over this whole bed. They do tend to spread, their bulbs spread, and I actually want them to do that in this bed. So I was super excited to see that. Maybe I'll get a couple stems of saffron. Alright, my friends, here is the 20-footer, and this was the first patch that we were picking from, and I'm right back here again. This is so cool. I love being able to, what I call cut and come again. I can cut them down, leave most of the greens. I'm just getting the bigger ones, leaving the smaller ones to grow, and I can get all the greens I can out of this before the season changes for them. And right now, we've had some pretty scary weather, and I'm not sure how long these are going to last through that cold, but as long as I have them, we are absolutely going to keep using them. So I'm going to be grateful for everything that I can get, no matter what the weather does. I can't control the weather, but I can control everything else on this farm as much as I can, as far as good soil, good seeds. And honestly, even at the best of seeds, there's going to be some that come up, some that don't come up. But, you know, we just do the best we can, and we have fun with what we do. So, and that's what I'm doing. I'm having fun going in my kitchen, creating meals, enjoying wholesomeness, homegrown. I keep telling y'all, I can't get enough. I just absolutely cannot get enough of this. So again, and behind me, I have some more. So I'm going to go ahead and finish cutting out our greens, preparing us for dinner. And I'm just taking you out on the farm with me. Occasionally I do that when it comes to gatherings. So I like taking you with me on the farm. Get you an idea of, maybe you are standing here with me. You're looking at all this bounty and figuring out things of what you can do. Maybe I'm giving you some ideas. So as soon as I get this picked, I'm going to show you some of the new things we're going to be doing. Okay, y'all, so here is my hubby's serving for tonight. We're going to clean these up, cook this down, and he's going to have a good set of mess of greens for dinner, fresh, straight from our garden. So let's go show you some new things we're going to do. All right, my friends, so this area here is right beside that 10-footer. Now the 10-footer is like an L shape. It's also got a hoop, and overlook that mess here, but it's got a hoop house over it, and then it's got wire caging. Now this is really good for spaghetti squash. However, I want to be able to have an atmosphere for them, and I am looking at eliminating these tires. I'm thinking about maybe 5 to 6 galvanized beds. Part of them are going to be used for squash, into which I am going to butt them up against this 10-footer and allow the spaghetti squash to grow against that railing. Another one is going to be fully done with herbs. So I'm going to be looking at that. Now I am keeping these because I do have some green onions here, and I also have some kale. Then again, I might just replace all of these, doing the same thing and putting another galvanized bed. My look on this is about a 6-foot by 2-foot. So 6 foot ought to be big enough to do what I'm looking for. And then all this space right here, I'm looking to actually use to lining up some beds with. And then probably right about, I know I'm moving this around for you, but I've got all this area here to use. So one of them is going to be strictly for flowers, for attracting honeybees. We're hoping to catch a swarm of our own this year. We're not purchasing any bees. We're going to try and do it from the wild. We also have these, and this now, instead of the tomatoes, hang on a second, let me set you up to see this better. Okay, instead of the tomatoes and the peppers being used, like this one is the pepper house, this one here on this side is the tomato house, and instead of that being done this year, I am probably going to be growing those from galvanized beds. I might use portion of this for tomatoes and a portion for peppers, but the rest of it, we are going to grow a lot more greens, lettuce, arugula, kale. So we're going to have more room to be able to do that by getting the galvanized beds. I'm also looking at doing a whole lot more green onions because I don't really want to keep buying onions. We've got a lot of new ideas because I want to expand my growing, and to me, galvanized beds, I can get some deals with 2 for the price of one, basically, versus lumber. So I'm going to choose to do that. We're going to see how this works. It also will help me do a lot of things in this area too, and I'm going to explain that inside because it is getting quite cool. The wind is picking up around here, so as you can see, so I'm fixing to go inside before the storm hits. Okay, my friends, so here's the idea that we have. We've been doing a lot of watching things with galvanized beds. Now, granted, there are some better than others, and I get that. And we're going to do what we're able to afford. And see, we're just like everybody else. We have to do what we can do, and that's it. I mean, there are some folks who can do things way better than we can, and I get that. I respect that. And, you know, there's just like a lot of people who will do promotions such as the Harvest Right freeze dryer. Some are able to actually purchase those. God bless you. If I had to have a wish list like many others, that is on my wish list. However, I'm very grateful for what I can do. And with these galvanized beds, I might not get the prominent ones that are top of the line, but I am going to get some of them. I do not know how long they will last, but this is also going to help clean up my property, because I have learned that even the most high-tech gardeners out here, and we're not talking just homesteaders, we are talking gardeners, advocate gardeners who teach as many folks to many of you, such as the one out of Australia, Epic Gardening. A lot of these folks will do this same method, and it makes sense because it's what I do in my compost. Now, we do have a lot of wood around here that needed to be cleaned up. And the lower end of my beds, I can actually, instead of just filling this up completely with soil, I can actually clean up some of that wood and make a line at the bottom of these galvanized beds. Then in some of my compost, I really need to start over on my compost. So there's a lot of broken down things that still need to be broken down as far as plants from over the summer. Some of the new greens, the stems and stuff I put in there, those can actually go in the bottom of my beds as well to be able to break down, and it breaks into a compost. It makes nutrients and vitamins for our roots to grow down, and also it will help them to be able to keep it moist as well. So I am actually going to do that. I am also going to top my beds with straw if I can find it, leaves, or even a non-treated mulch if have to. So I'm going to try not to, but I do have a lot of debris and stuff that I can use for myself. I kind of, hay is okay, but also the fact I don't want to add seeds due to a lot of weeds that can be promoted through that as well. But it is an option that I can use if I don't have anything else. So I am going to be doing this. I can even use the leaves from the ground to add into that before I put my soil on the top. So I am actually going to be able to clean up some of this homestead by these galvanized beds, and we're going to fill them up that way as well. I have seen where in time that they have broken down, and I literally had people pull their beds up, some within a year, some within 3 years, and literally they had beautiful compost at the bottom, worms that actually came up from the bottom of them to up to the top and into their soil. Their plants were absolutely amazing. And so, I mean, this is another opportunity for us because our ground is absolutely awful. And so I'm going to do what I have to do to be able to get more. We are finding, yes, we had the two 20-footers. Yes, we have the 10-footer. Number one, they're not deep enough. But number two, we don't have enough spacing because we are finding the more we get into our lifestyle, the way we're living, Mediterranean low carb, we are finding that we are using fresh more often than we've ever done before. On top of using fresh, I'm also canning more. So I would like to be able to depend on our own as much as possible. The galvanized beds are going to give me another opportunity to do that. Plus, I can be able to categorize, such as flowers for the bees, one whole 6-foot bed strictly with nothing but herbs, another one with Roma tomatoes, another one with peppers, and whatever else I feel like I want. I could do some with half onions, some with something else. I may even want to start growing potatoes, my own potatoes this year. I definitely want to try this with garlic in these raised beds as well. So there's a few things I'm wanting to try this way and see how they also do. That was the first thing I wanted to do in the first place, and we ended up with these beds instead. So I'm getting the opportunity to check this out and see how it works. So for the rest of this video and what we are going to do, we are actually going into the kitchen this evening. We are going to cook together. We had a little bit of, tea time, but we're actually going to go in the kitchen too, because I'm learning to combine both half and half. Now I will tell you, this week, probably Friday, we are going to have a live video. I have some questions that I want to ask you all come Friday, and I want to see what you think of it. I've had a few come to me and asking me some questions, but I am really concerned of what, not for me. And I have to tell you, you think these videos, you will find there are a lot of them for you. This is not just about me, y'all. And if this was about me, I would have never even sit here and ask you a question. But we do have a question coming up. I do want to talk to you live. So I'm looking about Friday evening between 6 and 7 o'clock, unless something changes. If it does change, I will let you know throughout the week. But so far, I'm looking at a live come Friday. So you've got a week's worth of preparation, and to catch this video, and in the future this week to know what's coming up, because a lot of you are missing it in the community area. So I'm just going to tell you in the video. So let's go to the kitchen, put on an apron, and let's go to cooking. Okay, my family, so we have got the greens now washed and in this pot, and we're getting ready to cook these. The next step now is I'm working on the potatoes for me. Now I am going to be working on a spicy walnut cilantro chili sauce to go on top of my potatoes. The potatoes I'm going to be using are these little red and white baby potatoes, and I'm going to try a different method to these. They say to boil them with baking soda. Never done that before, but we're going to try it. They claim Miss Susie, actually out of the Mediterranean dish, claims that it helps put on a nice baked crust on these potatoes. So we're going to try that. But in the meantime, there's going to be some alterations to my chili dish because I don't have the exact ingredients, but I did look up substitutes if this helps anybody. Remember, I'm on my pantry challenge and I'm using what I have. Now, over the summer, I had grew some poblano peppers, and I froze them. So I am going to substitute serrano peppers for poblano peppers. That is 1 out of 9 peppers that can be substituted. Another one that can be substituted is red pepper flakes, jalapenos, habaneros, red chilies. Any of these can be substituted for this. So I'm actually going to use the poblanos, and I'm going to add just a touch, just for a little more heat, of red pepper flakes into this. So I'm going to get these defrosted first. When I come back, we will put this sauce together, and we're going to set it aside while we set up for our potatoes. Okay, my family, so here we go. Now, you know me, I'm only doing this for one person, so my ingredients are going to look different to you, but I'm going to give you what I have in the recipe itself. So spicy walnut cilantro chili sauce for my potatoes. We are going to use 3 or 4 fresh serrano chilies or similar spicy chilies. You can also use a banana pepper if you do not want spice. So we also need 3 large cloves of garlic minced. 1 cup of roughly chopped fresh cilantro. There is my fresh cilantro in here. So I am going to add my minced garlic in with that. I am going to add my poblano peppers since I do not have the chilies or serranos. So I'm just going to add poblanos with just a kick, slight kick and pinch of red chili flakes. I do not want a whole lot of this, just for a slight. Okay. I need 2 tablespoons of white wine vinegar. A 1/4 cup of finely chopped walnuts. Just slight more of that. Okay. I need a 3/4 cup of extra virgin olive oil. And that is a, well, besides, yeah, 1 juice of 1 large lemon, about a 1/4 cup's worth. So I have a small lemon because I'm doing half of this recipe, which is perfect. So I'm just going to release the juice. And how I release the juice, in case I've never shown you before, you take your lemon, you roll it. As you roll it, you release those juices, and you'd be amazed at how much juice comes out of that. You don't want to squish it to death. You just want to put slight pressure and roll it. And you'll feel the liquid in here. So now I'm just going to cut this in half. And I'm going to add that to my greens. Or my sauce, actually. This can be served over the top of fish. It can be served over potatoes, roasted potatoes, pretty much anything you would like to serve this over. Now I'm just going to mix this up really good. And we're going to set this aside and begin our potatoes. And that's what that looks like, y'all. So now we're going to set this aside, and I will be right back as we go ahead and progress for our potatoes. Okay, y'all, so just a couple techniques I am not going to be doing from this. Again, I'm going to take portions of this and not do with the recipe, but yet the same aspect will be used to creating the dish. Such as, the only difference on this dish that I am not going to be doing is I am not going to boil my potatoes in the baking soda. Now, there is arguments that boiling in baking soda with your potatoes, which I've never heard of until right now, releases, it's like alters the pH, acidic probabilities or compounds in your potatoes, releasing the sugars and that, and making it where you can have crispier potatoes. However, there's also a negative side to that, where some have said it leaves a bad aftertaste, which I can understand due to baking soda. And then some others say it leaves it exceptionally soft. I don't really like to have super mushy, soft potatoes. If I'm going to do that, I'm going to have mashed potatoes. So I'm not going to do that. I am going to parboil my potatoes until they are slightly soft, and then I'm going to put them in the oven at 450 degrees, and we are going to finish baking them. So this is what I'm doing, enough for one person. So I'm going to put the rest of these away. When I get back, we will coat these and get them ready or first of all, we're going to boil them, and then we will coat them and put them in the oven. So we'll be right back. Okay, y'all, so this is different where I brought my water up to a boil. Now I'm going to add my potatoes in here, and I'm just going to cook these until they are about fork tender. I'm not going to cook them till they're mush or nothing, just enough to put a fork in here. So I'm going to bring this back up to boil. Once these are fork tender, we will be pulling them out, straining them, and then we're going to finish the rest so we can bake it in our oven. Alright, y'all, so the potatoes have been drained. They are fork tender, and I am at this point going to sprinkle them or coat them with olive oil because we are going to finish baking these in the oven. Like I said, I did not want them super soft because we are going to bake them. So that uses the last of this bottle anyways. Now I'm going to use some salt and pepper. Sprinkle that on here. Now some pepper. Now I'm going to turn to coat this really well, and then we're going to pop these in a preheated 450 degree oven. So once we get this, while these are baking and the greens, which are still cooking in here, once these get in the oven, we're going to go ahead and start cooking up our pork chops next. We are making a Mediterranean pork chop with, instead of feta cheese, we are actually going to be using an herbed goat cheese. That is the one type of cheese hubby will actually eat. So I'm going to show you another way of working with pork chops. Well, let me get these in the oven. And now we'll be back with our pork chops. Okay, everyone, so now I'm going to take and season both sides of these. I took them out of the refrigerator. I dried these, so now I'm going to season them with salt and pepper on both sides. And I am going to be using a half a teaspoon of garlic powder to season them as well. So we're just going to sprinkle this. Then I'm going to take my salt, sprinkle over the top of each chop. Now these are not going to take very long because they are thin. So, and then I'm just going to take and sprinkle basically the same way I did with the salt. I'm just going to sprinkle these with garlic, turn these around, do the same process to them, and then we're going to put these and set them aside. In the meantime, I'm going to make up the mix that they're going to go to, because we are actually going to cook these up in the frying pan. So again, these have all been turned. Set them up for seasoning. Pepper. Salt. And then garlic powder after that. Get this one here too. And then some garlic powder. Again, this is my homemade garlic powder, which I have not, since I started doing this, I've not bought garlic powder in 2 years. I just dehydrate my own, buying big old bags of garlic from Sam's Club, coming home, dehydrating them, turning them into powder, and I can have it for a good year, and it's amazing. So now we're going to take and set these aside, and then we're going to come back and make the sauce that we are going to saute or cook in our pan. Okay, y'all, so now we're going to make the sauce that's actually going to be embedded into the pork chops once they are cooked. So I have 1 to 2 garlics of crushed garlic. I'm going to be dividing a 1/4 cup of extra virgin olive oil. So this one, and this part is getting 1/8. The other part is going into the frying pan with the pork chops. So I have that one. I am going to be adding 1 teaspoon of dried oregano. And a 1/2 teaspoon of dried thyme. I'm going to mix this up with 2 tablespoons of fresh lemon juice, and I'm going to get that just as soon as I can get back. Alright, so I have the 2 tablespoons of lemon juice now mixed in here. Sorry y'all, I went ahead and poured it before I came back on the camera. After this, I'm going to add 1/4 cup of half pitted kalmata olives. I need 1 cup of halved cherry tomatoes. And instead of using feta cheese, I am going to be using herbed goat cheese. And I am going to be taking some of this and breaking it up inside of here. This will be added to the pork chops after they are basically cooked. Let me go ahead and get this open. And then I'm just going to break off pieces and put them inside this bowl. The feta is about 3 ounces of feta. This goat cheese is about 4 ounces, so most of this is going in this bowl. The other 1 ounce will probably be going in our salads. So I'm just going to break this off in pieces like this. So you can use any type of cheese you like. Hubby he's not fond of feta, so we're going to use the goat cheese. And I'm just going to mix this all together, and I'm going to set this aside while we go and cook the pork chops next. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this and then mix this up just like so, and we will be back. Okay, so in the meantime, the potatoes are finished, and since they are finished, I'm going to go ahead and add the walnut chili sauce on top of these. And then I will dress it up some more once I go to serve them. Now, we will let this settle, and then we're going to come to our frying pan, and we are going to cook our pork chops. Okay, my sweet family, so now we are going to add the rest of the 1/8 cup of olive oil inside our pan. This is where we are going to cook our pork chops at. And then we will finally dress it in the end. So I'm going to bring this up to heat. Once this comes up to a heat, we're going to turn around and cook our pork chops that are seasoned in here. So once this comes up to heat, we will be right back. Alright, so our oil is coming up to heat. Now we are going to actually saute some purple onions, 1/2 of a purple onion sliced thinly. We're going to add this, and we're going to cook these up until the point they are slightly colored. At that point, that is when we are going to be adding our pork chops. So I'm just going to saute these for a bit. Kind of like caramelizing, but you're not going to actually caramelize them. You're just going to get them to where there's just a slight coloring to them. So we're just going to mix this up. Once we have the coloring to them, we will come back and we will be dropping our pork chops into our pan. Alright, so I now have some coloring to my onions. Now I'm going to go ahead and drop my pork chops into the pan. Now, like I said, these will not cook very long because they are thin, and that's okay. We don't need a whole lot of this type of protein anyways. Basically, our meal's more veggies, but it's okay. We still get some of our protein as well. So now I'm going to go ahead and finish these. Then I'm going to turn around and cook these, and once these get cooked, I'll show you what the next step is. Okay, so now we're finished cooking off our pork chops. Now I'm going to go ahead and top them with the topping that I had set aside earlier. That was with the goat cheese, the tomatoes, and the kalmata olives. We're just going to go ahead and sprinkle this all over the tops of our pork chops, just like so. And then I'm going to top it there with some parsley when we go to put them on our plate. So I'm just going to take the rest of all this together, take this off, turn the heat off, set it aside, finish off the greens, and the next time we come back, it will be to plate our dish. So we will be back as soon as we are ready. And here we go with the pork chops, y'all, just like so. Now I'm going to go ahead and start the greens from hubby. I'm going to actually be cooking them. It's really simple. I'm going to be adding some onions, some bacon fat, sauteing them up right quick, and then we will be serving our supper. So I'll be back shortly. And that is the final dish. This one is hubby's greens, straight from the garden. It looks a little dark, y'all, but it's because of the lighting. But it is greens and purple onions. We have the Mediterranean pork chops we showed you, and then a side salad. Over here is the potatoes. The only difference between our plate is the fact that he has the greens and I have the potatoes. Other than that, it's the same plate. I hope you all enjoyed this meal. The description box will have the recipes for everything. I will have the link to the boots too, and I am going to also include, in case you're still interested, the link to the Letpot hydroponic system as well. I am getting ready to do an update on those. So until next time, much love. Look forward to the very, very soon, like possibly tomorrow, video of canning butter beans. So we will be getting ready for those next. Much love to you. It is supper time, and I'm hungry. So we'll see you next time from Parton's Heritage Homestead.